Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Chris and Andre Show.
Yo, what up? Never gonna start an episode like that.
No.
I hope you don't, because like, I am not co-signing that.
Oh. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Chris and Andre Show. We are your loyal hosts. My name is Chris.
And I'm Andre.
And with us...
yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead. You ruined the intro. You ruined it.
Andre's going to make it all about himself immediately.
Yeah, I know, but for everybody wondering what's been going on, there hasn't been any new content. Well, that's on me.
For once, that's not my fault.
I'll say, all of us had our own life events.
Hey, I was still here 2 weeks after the birth of my child. I was
representing, right?
Pumped out that episode, just like my wife pumped out that child.
Ooh.
I am not co-signing that, Kristen. So
you're rusty, man. We gotta get on board.
If and when you hear this, he was solo for that.
Anyways, with us as sometimes, I can't say always because he's kind of bailed on us the last couple of episodes that we've recorded. Well, it's true. I just call him like I see him. Captain Marvelous Joe, a.k.a. friend of the show Joe, a.k.a. Fireside Joe. Joe, how you
sometimes
doing?
here. What do you know?
Yeah. Hey,
Joe, how you been,
what do
man?
you know?
Okay, well, I got a job. And then
He starts with that. He's like, I got a job.
During that job, in a short time, I got a pay raise, and then I got a promotion and another pay raise.
That's what's up.
Yeah, so I'm working hard, and so I work 6 days a week. The only day I have off is today, and it's intentional.
That's right.
The struggle is real. The struggle is real.
On purpose. Anyways, we are here for some pop culture. As you may know, we're behind on several segments to kind of close out some talks that we've had in the past. We had started out doing the first couple episodes of Kenobi, I think 1 through 4. We had episodes 1 and 2 of Ms. Marvel done, maybe 3, I can't remember. We have not done our review of Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, or as Andre likes to call it, Multiverse of Movies, or Multiverse of Suckness. I don't know. You had some clever name for it earlier. And then Joe and I are going to give our spoiler-filled review of Thor Love and Thunder while Andre sits back and laughs at the fact that they actually made that movie and continue to give Taika Waititi complete directorial control. But... before we dive into all of that stuff, or the rest of that stuff, we're going to start with Kenobi. So, episodes 5 and 6, where we last left off, our heroes were... I don't even remember. It's been so long since I watched this. So really, I'm going to just... yeah, right? Just like picture-in-picture recap here. No, I guess I'll just give my overall thoughts on the series now that it's wrapped up. I really enjoyed it in that it was something Star Wars-esque to watch that didn't have J.J. Abrams' fingerprints all over it, meaning that it wasn't just like replete with
shots fired,
lens flares and star wipes and all that fun stuff. It wasn't the best, like I think ultimately they were really hamstrung by their need to fit that in between the two trilogies that had already, that it was sandwiched around. And so ultimately it really undercut a lot of moments that I think should have been suspenseful, where it's like, is Kenobi in trouble? Oh no, because we see him later. Is Vader in trouble? Oh no, because obviously he's in later movies. Same thing with Leia and Luke. Just, it basically, if it was a character that we had seen at some point previously, you knew that they were going to survive. And that made it, I think, just a little bit harder to really build some of the suspense that they tried to build at times. But there was still some good storytelling that kind of went on. I still feel like the, what's her name? I can never remember. The Dark Sister, Inquisitor.
The third sister.
Third sister, thank you. That her character still just felt kind of, not in mine.
Wow.
It still just felt kind of flat. Like, even at the end with the whole backstory and, like, there were so many things around her character that I just didn't understand. Kind of what they were trying to do or why they chose to tell the story the way that they did. But, yeah, so, I don't know. That's my general thoughts. Andre, what do you think?
I think that it was like Titanic, because, you know, if you ever went to watch the movie Titanic, the boat sinks.
Right.
Kenobi was kind of the same way. You know that he's going to live. Even the tension-filled moments, nothing seemed contrived. It just seemed like there was no reason for the show. It was enjoyable to watch, but I did decide to, like, after that show, I'm probably not going to watch another Star Wars show on Disney Plus because I just don't care. I think that they're just all campy. I haven't seen one Star Wars movie and or show that's not campy, and I just don't really want to watch them. It's like there's nothing that grabs me. The only with the exception of possibly Boba Fett. That's the only show I've watched where it's like, oh, well, you don't know what this character does in the future because they kind of left it hanging because he fell down the mouth of a big earthy sandworm. So,
Sarlacc pit.
Sarlacc, yeah, sure, or that.
Sarlacc.
So I thought it was a great. I mean, I thought it was, like, overall the show was like a B- because Star Wars just isn't interesting. And I think what makes it not interesting for me are the fans, to be honest with you.
Who? Handwritten script for Star Wars by George Lucas? Princess Leia's anti-jiggle breast tape. Film reel labeled alternate ending. Luke's father is Chewbacca. Oh! I'll give you $5 for the box.
They get
horrible.
They're like they're the worst. I'm just not a big fan of, like, super, like, engaged, or not engaged, but the people that believe a science fiction world is real and they try to advocate for the properties in that world is real. That probably turns me off of, like, even say I'm going to go watch a Star Wars property, if I'm being honest. So, but, you know, it was okay.
It was right up there with, like, Spider-Man No Way Home.
I think it's going to be like a B- at best. And I'm in no rush to see it.
What did you think of the first two movies?
Cool. I'll go first. No, I'll go first. That got me.
Actually,
B-? B-? What the fuck is that?
Do you not see? This is what I have to deal with week in and week out on this podcast.
B-. It is the best thing Sony has ever done with that franchise. They've been throwing balls and seeing what hits, and nothing hit as good as it should have. It was always shortcoming. Venom was like a miracle, and then they it up with the second one, because I just watched that too. They it up with the second one. God damn. And then they put a cliffhanger at the end, being like, oh, you're going to see Venom again. No, you know, this is not even a spoiler. I'm not going to spoil it. Because they didn't use him.
Nope.
They didn't use him.
Nope.
Yeah, yeah, you nailed it.
Joe?
And it was probably up there with Thor: Love and Thunder, but we'll get to that later.
You haven't even seen it.
I don't have to.
So I like how Andre gave it a letter grade. You said it was a B-.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna have to give it a C+. And my main reason, and I'm a huge Star Wars fan. I have one of my kids named after one of the characters, so it kind of hurts to give it that. But at the same time, you're very right. There's really no reason for this show. It's not adding anything to lore, and anything is actually hurting it. Because it would have been better if Vader and Obi-Wan really did not meet up. If it was always two ships passing that night. That edgy to be,
you're right.
Like you're scared that they're going to meet. Or at the very least, hold it off till the very, very end. and get it over quick, or make it almost a near-death experience for Kenobi. That
But
way,
they
it
had
really
like
shows
multiple instances, right, throughout
exactly.
the show where they
the first
kept
one,
being...
the moment they first met, I paused and I was like, this cannot be a fucking happening. One is way too early. Two, the setup is horrible. It's literally like one of those like those like construction sites where they mount up all the soil before they start doing everything. It felt like they just found that on the way to the set. Oh shit, let's just do it here. And it was the fight was horrible. I'm a firefighter, so when I watch him drag him in the fire and not see him burn, I'm like,
Your pain has just begun.
I'm getting a little pissed about that, and they try to play it off. They try to have it two ways. Disney didn't want to show Obi-Wan getting hurt, but then immediately afterwards, they had a character mention, "Take this; it'll help with the burns." I'm like, what fucking burns? You still have your beard, like you're not actually hurt, but they want to make it sound like he's hurt. So I'm not mad at the show. I'm definitely not mad at it, but when you take a character that's so feared and loved like Vader, and you make him basically the boogeyman of the entire series, he needs to be the boogeyman. He doesn't need to just be like a knockoff version of Michael Myers, just brooding.
I think that Vader was, and we can move on after this, but I think Vader was done well because it kind of filled in some of the gaps. But there are two things you said, Joe, that I actually agree with. It doesn't add to the lore, number one, and who said that they met too early? Was that you two also,
That was me,
Joe? I think you're right because when I think back of when Obi-Wan and Vader met in like whatever was it Return of the Jedi?
No, New Hope.
New Hope.
First
That
one.
was the
Sure.
first one.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's how much I care about it. It was kind of like that was more theatrical than when they met in Kenobi. So I think you're right. I think that
I'll piggyback on that for a second. In New Hope, you're the first time you ever see Vader, he's straight murking people and choking them in the hallway.
right.
You see his power, and then later you see Ben Kenobi talking about the aspect of Vader and how almost fearful he is to ever see him.
Right.
And then when they finally see him, they actually come in contact, is because he's sacrificing himself for somebody else. He doesn't really want to be there, but he knows this is what I have to do to make sure Luke can survive this, and that's why he progresses into the Force when he gets killed, is because he's come full circle. He's sacrificed himself for others. And this one, he's lost his mojo, and he literally ran from the dude.
But
That should not be possible.
haphazardly, the way they ended the series was it actually ties into why he sacrificed himself. So I think that the reason why I gave it a B minus
He had his
was
he had his Jesus moment. He was freaking floating with his arms out. So
yeah. I think the reason for me, it's like there were some things where it's like, oh, that answers that question, but it just wasn't really needed. So.
I felt like ultimately they tried to be too cutesy with some of the stuff, like some of the dialogue between him and Leia about like, if you ever need me, just, you can always reach out to me, and maybe again we'll see each other someday. And like,
yeah, they didn't need to
little
say
things
that at
like
all.
that. It was just
It's just implied just because of the venture they had.
right. You're not a non-Star Wars knowledgeable person coming in, and like the first thing you're going to consume is Obi-Wan.
Yeah, nobody's watching Kenobi without watching. Yeah,
Exactly.
It's kind of like how the Goonies ended. You don't see them afterwards being like, "Oh man, I'm so glad we survived that adventure. If you ever need in the future, just hit me up."
right.
No, that's not how people talk. Like,
Yeah.
they just move on.
So again, I'm going to give Kenobi a B minus. Yeah.
Joe, you gave it a C plus. I'll go with Andre here. I'll give it a B minus. Like I think it's right in that like 78 to 82 range if we're giving it a number score.
I want to say it's poetic that Andre's saying he's sick and tired of Star Wars fandom. I'm without argument the most fandom of the Star Wars of us three, and I give it the worst review. I think that's telling of how they missed the mark on this one.
Yeah, it's all your fault, Joe.
Yeah. Next up, Miss Marvel. I'm going to start with this one. I really enjoy the show. I think that the complexity of what they were trying to do to set up mutants. Now, I'm going to come back and kick this show in the butt later on.
Later, just for fun.
Yeah, if you're listening to us, listen to the big rant, because I see some parallels, and I do see where Marvel could be slipping. But I think overall, Miss Marvel was an enjoyable show. It's just, if you watch it, do not get sucked in by the people that are just being haters. It's just not. It's not feasible. It's the haters are disgusting in what they don't like about the show. Like, none of it makes sense. It's actually pretty close and mirrors the comics fairly closely. I reread the first run of Miss Marvel just to make sure I wasn't crazy, and it's really a good show. The only thing I probably didn't like was I'd say nothing, actually. I think it was well, yeah, because I was actually going to take a shot at the ending with Brie Larson showing up as a cameo, but then I was like, it kind of sets up the Marvels, and that's fine, so I'll move on. So
I think, like a lot of things, Marvel Studios takes what exists in the comic world and tries to figure out, okay, how can we tie this into the larger story that we've already told, and where can we simplify things in certain places to kind of make it easier for us to tell a story. It's not necessarily like the Miss Marvel story, but like, we want to craft a story. We give the directors and the creators some, freedom, while still having to kind of check in occasionally, unless you're Taika Waititi, along the way. And I think people were initially upset because her powers didn't match the way that they wanted them to. They fixed that in like the season or episode 6, right? Like where she got like all
she
big
had
and
her
stuff.
her biggins.
Yeah,
Which is a stupid word,
but at the same time, people didn't like the way that she got her powers through the bangle, and now that's like, okay, well, it's not just the Miss Marvel story that is from the comics, but we're also kind of tying in the power bands or the nega bands or like those kind of different elements, because there's too many things to try and cram it all into its own series or something. So we're trying to figure out like where can we kind of mush these things together where it might kind of make some sense. And whether or not you're a diehard comic fan and you like that thing, I mean, yeah, like that's up to you whether or not you personally enjoy it. I think where I got frustrated along the way was the people who were like, nobody should be enjoying this, and if it doesn't speak specifically to me as a fan, then it wasn't worth making.
well, those are all the same people that think that I Am Groot is going to be something that everybody should watch. And I'm personally not
I Am
going to
Groot
watch it.
is something great for the kids.
Yeah,
I'm not watching
if
that.
that.
Lord,
Yeah.
Anything that James
How much
Gunn,
screen time does Vin Diesel's voice really get, right?
No, I between him and James Gunn, like, I'm not watching that. If James Gunn had anything to do with that, and I hope, like, I'm still not going to watch it.
No, let him focus on Peacemaker 2. I know you don't care about that, but I do.
We need more Peacemaker.
And we'll come back to that later.
So,
Joe, what are your thoughts on Miss Marvel?
It's funny because before Miss Marvel came out, you guys asked me how am I feeling about this new lineup of Star Wars, and Marvel shows coming out. And I was generally excited. Kenobi scared me a little bit, but it won me back towards the latter half of Vader and all that. This show, I just could not stay with. Like, believe it or not, I found her co-stars more interesting than her. Like, I wanted to hear more about the lady who was running for the council. Like that the whole the whole in-house politics, the whole religious aspect, the inequality with women in the temple, I was just like, I'm all about that. Like, yeah, they were kind of feeling like they were making a statement about that, and I think that was pretty cool. But the scenes with the mom and then the dad, who was super just ballless, he bugged me. But I didn't like the family makeup. The wedding seemed really rushed to me. Like,
it's 6 episodes.
Well, yeah, that's the problem with the show, isn't it? The pacing is all off. Like she was just crying about something. And
to
the very
be
next
fair,
episode,
Daredevil's got 18 episodes, right? So I'm going to come back to hold on. I'm going to come back to this later. Marvel's got a problem, and I'm going to give it a little bit. Marvel's problem is that.
Wait, hold up. Let me get this out here, because when you said it, reminded me of what I was really trying to say, like on my stupid rants, because I'm a fan. We are seeing the bad problem. The problems we're seeing with Ms. Marvel are long running. That's from when they did Captain Marvel, and that's
Phase 4 in general.
Yeah,
sure.
Well, no, I'm saying a lot of people are saying that, but no, I'm saying when they first did Captain Marvel, how she got her powers, the fact that the actual Captain Marvel was not even a factor in that, the fact that the bands were not even a factor in that all, like, from early on, I was like, that's going to cause some turmoil later on when you try to do more cosmic stuff. Mm-hmm. And now we're seeing the backlash of that. We don't have anything introducing the Inhumans except for the one really awesome moment in Multiverse of Madness, but there was nothing else. Nothing else is canon, and like apparently for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. or any of the other stuff.
Right, so Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is no longer canon.
If they kept Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. canon, it would make sense how she would get her powers. But because they didn't, they had to make up a new way for her to do that.
Okay, but you do know why those two things happened, right?
Yeah, it was some business thing.
Well, no, okay. So, Andre, I know you have your point, so I will keep this as short as I can. But the only reason Marvel Comics ever created the Inhumans was because Fox owned the right to X-Men.
Oh, yeah.
And they weren't going to continue to create new characters and new plot lines and like content for Fox to go and create movies for, so they created the Inhumans. Now that they own the rights to X-Men, this is how they're bringing X-Men and mutants into the Marvel universe, cinematic universe, MCU. And so
because
if they had
there seems to be a mutation.
Right. Simply, and then the X-Men.
Kamala, there's something different in your genes. Like a mutation.
But couldn't they just do that in Multiverse of Madness?
No. Oh, wait till we get to that one.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, look, again, I think ultimately, like, they are changing things, right? They are not going to do it by the book. I see what I did there.
So you think this is growing pains? Phase 4 is growing pains?
No, it's literally what I've been saying for like a while now. They have to expand their audience for people that don't read the comics, right? Although my wall is bare and there's echo because of that, like not everybody, like the demographics they're actually trying to reach to, and we're going to talk about this more in the big rant, so please stay tuned for the big rant. They have to expand their audience, or eventually they're going to start getting losses. So my point, like, you have to, if you're a comic reader, you have to separate that from what Marvel puts out.
Yes.
And you can listen to all the big people that talk about, everything always, Cosmic Wonder. Like, these guys are saying it in a nicer way, in a more essay style. But it's true. You have to figure out a way to migrate and bring the whole universe with all the properties into the media. They've got a few misses. Unfortunately. But I don't think Miss Marvel is a miss. I think most of Phase 4 is a miss.
I do think that the 6-episode format is
problematic.
Is a problem. I think if they could add even just 2 episodes and make the seasons 8 episodes long, I think would give you just a little bit more breathing room. I think we felt this with Moon Knight, right? Where it was like, weird story. Okay, everything we've been building up to now is finally explained, and we can tell. And then it was like over, and you're like, wow, that felt really rushed.
The question would be, can they fix that without the COVID restrictions, right? So that you have to kind of give them a pass.
Yes.
In some lights because they had to do a lot of reshoots and like
totally understand that.
Go back to the drawing board.
You can still appreciate the elements of the shows that are good and the storytelling that is well done. I think
I will say this with full confidence. Falcon the Winter Soldier, Hawkeye, and Miss Marvel were at least a 2-run hit. Moon Knight was a miss. So I think whoever was behind the scenes on those 3 did a good job. Loki's an anomaly because people just love who's the guy that plays Loki?
Tom Hiddleston.
Tom Hiddleston. My wife's got the biggest crush on him.
And just the character in general that he has portrayed. I think
it's Tom Hiddleston. It's the character sucks in the comics. He's
no, but
awful.
I know. But I'm saying the character that he plays, the Loki that he portrays on the screen.
Sure. So he's the total
really
package.
Well.
Thank you, my friend.
But yes, a lot of it is about Tom Hiddleston and the way that he has kind of built that character. I do think, even the storyline from Loki, there were parts that were kind of off, but then there were scenes that I really, really enjoyed as well. So it's all, again, I think overall for Miss Marvel, I would probably give it an A minus, B plus.
Would you say that Loki had a better, had a good sense of progression in their story?
No, people were familiar with Loki.
Yeah, I think
that's the
you
only
had
pass.
so much backstory on Loki that you didn't have to tell the stuff that you did with Moon Knight and with Miss Marvel. I think you could jump into the middle of it.
Yeah, you understand the references.
Exactly.
Right.
And so it played better in the existing universe. These other properties that they've been doing now are tougher, and that's why I think they need more episodes. You need a couple extra episodes to build these
possibly.
things out.
I don't think you need. I don't think 2 episodes makes Miss Marvel any different.
I just think you could have done more with
slice of life episodes to make you like the person.
No, here's why I don't think Miss Marvel needs 2 episodes, because the way they were able to do the graphics, the drawings on the walls as her and Bruno were walking. Mm-hmm. That was beautiful. It gives you the context. It actually helps to build the story.
That was non-intrusive. Just a nice way of seeing what they're doing.
Andre loved that, but he hated the text messages.
I was going to actually say the text messaging, right? Didn't hit well with me, but objectively, I can say that it actually helped to build the story.
Right. It nonstop. Wasn't that the first movie to do that? Interactive text messages on the screen while the person's doing stuff.
I thought it was You Got Mail.
Oh yeah. But that was a more antiquated way.
They were using AIM for that.
Yeah.
So I think overall that Miss Marvel, I would give it an A. I wouldn't give it an A minus or an A plus. I would give it an A. I think it was a good show.
Joe, what's your letter grade?
This is the interesting part. I did a lot of things about it I don't like, but I still think it deserves a B.
Okay, that's fair.
Because it's trying to get there.
So you'd watch
get
it
that
again,
material
right?
out there. I don't have any reason to ever watch it again. Really.
But if it was on TBS, you'd watch it, right?
No.
Come on.
No.
So
I have
10 o'clock at night.
Paramount Plus, and I can watch Picard in the middle of the night. I'd rather do that.
No, I'm saying 10 o'clock, you're flipping through the channels, and that show just happens to be on, you'd watch it.
I'll put it this way. If I'm in the comic book store and I see her comic on discount, I would buy the comic for my kid.
Okay, so, all right, that's a fair B.
All right, so we did this after Moon Knight, and we totally left Hawkeye off all of our lists. So I think it's important that we take the moment now to...
Hawkeye was so good. That's
exactly,
why.
Yeah, obviously.
It didn't need to be on the list.
Ranking the Disney Plus Marvel shows so far. So just to make sure we have them all listed, we have Miss Marvel, Moon Knight, Hawkeye, Loki... Help me out, guys. Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Falcon, yeah.
And there's another
Captain
one.
Falcon.
Captain Falcon. Falcon.
I'm a couple beers in. I'm not gonna lie.
There's
low-key,
one more though. We're missing one.
No, the next one that comes out is She-Hulk.
No, there's definitely 6 because we had 4 last time, and we left Hawkeye off and we added.
You should have notes. I don't know what you're doing over
I
there.
usually do. You should see my notes. You should literally. I sent them to you.
Disney Plus shows.
And I can always edit this out. I'll just slap a little
Disclaimer, a little partner
WandaVision.
at dust.
Wanda. Oh,
How do we forget that?
I
Because
don't know,
it was
'cause Andre
forgettable.
hates it.
Yeah.
Okay, so who wants to go first?
I'll go first. I will say Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Hawkeye, Miss Marvel, Loki. WandaVision's last for me. What's
Moon Knight?
Oh no, Moon Knight's last for me, and then WandaVision.
I guess they could be tied for last. If you
Yeah,
want.
they could be tied for why was this done? Like, I'm good.
So 6 in total, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I am ready to go next without any preparation whatsoever.
You need one of those screen clacker things?
No, that's not how I edit things. Anyways, so I would say Loki, Hawkeye, now that I remember it, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Miss Marvel, WandaVision, Moon Knight. Joe?
I would go Loki, Hawkeye, WandaVision, Falcon and Winter Soldier, Moon Knight, and then Miss Marvel. But the interesting part was Falcon and Winter Soldier was probably where Hawkeye is for me early on, before Hawkeye, all this other stuff started coming out. Because I've learned to appreciate Falcon and Winter Soldier more, especially with the Zemo. Everything Zemo. Just I yearn for more Zemo. But in the grand scheme of things, I think the other ones did a little better, especially in my department. So I know Andre isn't going to agree with that list at all, but some of it Chris can relate to, especially with Loki.
Yeah. I loved Loki. It was good. But
it's not
again,
about
I think
me.
it really, Loki and Hawkeye, really, I look at my list, the top 3, Loki, Hawkeye, Falcon, and Winter Soldier, are all built off of previous movies where they got to tell a lot of stories about each of those characters. Hawkeye may be the least of the 3 or 4.
I think Hawkeye was...
I was just going to say,
Hawkeye...
WandaVision was one of those where, I liked it at times, but it's still, even looking back on it, it still just felt kind of flat. And I think, honestly, Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness kind of undid some of my favorable likeness of WandaVision early on, which we'll get into next. But, yeah.
Yeah, so let's talk about Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. I love Benedict Cumberbatch. I think his Doctor Strange is Robert Downey Jr., Iron Man, Tony Stark, spot on. The movie was dead ass garbage.
Ouch.
Like dead ass garbage. It was one of the worst movies I have seen, and the hype. Sam Raimi,
You didn't
not
like
a big
Latino Doctor Strange?
Sam Raimi, whether it was a Marvel misdirect on how that movie was going to be presented, I just didn't enjoy the movie at all. I watched the 2-hour and some change train wreck just because I started watching the movie, and I just America Chavez. It wasn't the cast. The writers were garbage. The story in general was just garbage. So I did not enjoy it. I thought it was awful. I didn't like the Illuminati at all. I thought it was way off.
I had a lot of issues with the Illuminati.
I signed the Illuminati, so that in and of itself just pissed me off. The comic book nerd was nah, I'm good. And the movie started off wrong. The opening scene was awful. I was just and I'm not going to like this movie. And I tried. Oh, did I try?
Apparently that wasn't supposed to be the original opening scene. That was added. a few weeks.
Well,
before.
they missed the mark. So I will say I don't want to talk about the bits and pieces I didn't like, but because it's like the whole movie.
We'll be here
So
for hours.
I'll give it just like a D. Like that's it.
Ooh, ouch. Joe, what do you think?
Well, for one, the movie was originally supposed to start off as what was the gentleman's name who was trying to kill wizards and shit? Stop magic.
Mordo.
Mordo.
He was supposed to confront Wanda on her little orchard farm, and they get in a battle, and she decapitates him and puts his head in that basket. You see. Mm-hmm. That's how the movie was supposed to start, but that got scrapped last minute
Because it would have sucked even more. But
and I think it got scrapped because it was too violent. I think Disney didn't want to sign off on that. But I think Chris can agree with me on this. If you like Evil Dead, there's going to be a lot in this movie you're going to relate to. It's got that Evil Dead feeling. It's got that disjointed story structure that's very familiar, very campy. I had a lot of fun with it. I had a lot of fun with Zombie Strange, Sinister Strange. Even America Chavez, a character I thought was completely pointless in the comic books.
Are you kidding me? That's sacrilege. Anyway.
Fight.
She's an amazing character. The movie did her like no justice. The actress, I can't remember who played her. Anyway, I'm sorry. I don't want to step on your toes.
So no, I think you were on a similar wavelength. You said the movie. She said it was an amazing character. The movie did her no justice. But if she was able to do just enough to get me on board with that character, I think it says something about the actor who played her. Because I liked seeing America Chavez in that movie.
Right. Okay.
Beforehand, she was part of this cabal of characters that were made during a time when Marvel was just trying to like shoot shots in the dark to try to get more like PG rated audiences on board. You know, people who never had comic books. They're like, let's make a non-binary character and just try to get them to come over. You know, things like that for old ass comic book lovers like me just felt like a weird step in a weird direction. So now I get to actually see this character for what she's meant to be, or at least what they're trying to mean for her to be, and I'm interested. So I was actually supposed to go to the comic books today and try to pick up some comics with her in it, but you know, lo and behold, kids stop that. So it's on my to-do list. I want to get some collections to see more about this character. Plus, she gives me like there's a Guardians of the Galaxy character that's very similar to her. He's got his own Captain America shield, and I'll leave some of the fans to look that up. But he gives me very good. She gives me very similar vibes to that, and I'm all about Captain America if you can't tell. But I can understand why a lot of people come into this movie and just have no idea what the fuck's going on and don't like it, and they're confused and kind of off-put. Because, for example, Wanda has been this consistent hero. Even when she was a villain, she had like a bleeding heart. You know,
I can't with Wanda Maximoff anymore.
In this movie, she becomes a villain, and it seems a little like it's kind of hurts your heart a little bit. But I guess it had to be done. I'm not with Captain Marvel, there's no Inhumans, there's no more mutant moment. So I'm like, I really didn't know what this movie was trying to establish with Wanda, and I still don't, because now the movie's over and Wanda may or may not be dead. I don't.
They've not established it in the 4 movies she's been in because of the embargo for the use of mutants. And that's not their fault.
Tease Quicksilver.
Yeah, my issue with the movie goes back to it was just poorly written. Like I'm sorry. So
but if you know the director, that's probably his best writing work. Evil Dead, guys. I'm saying if you judge him based on his previous work, you're like, he's doing pretty good on this one.
Okay, but he also did
he did Spider-Man. Yeah, the first 2, I think. 2 or 3.
I think he did the third one too.
No, I don't think he did the third one.
No,
I'm pretty sure
he did like.
I think he did the first 2, and
I know that he did do the first 2, but I couldn't remember if he did the third one. Anyways,
I look that up. Arguably the 2 best Spider-Man ever happened.
Talk about it a little bit.
What the hell? What'd you rate it?
Oh yeah, Joe, what do you give it?
B plus.
B plus.
What?
A B plus. Are you okay, Andre?
Oh, you did all three of them. God, Jesus, Lord have mercy. Good job, Chris.
I'm here for that. Okay, Sam Raimi in general. Yeah, like I like the campy horror stuff that he's done. Evil Dead. Obviously, he's a big Bruce Campbell fan. He puts him in literally every movie that he's in.
Yeah, they're like best friends. Him in that car.
Which
Those
is
two
great.
things that are always in that movie.
You know, like I get that you have a style and stuff like that. I do think that this was certainly one of the darker attempts at, you know, like a Marvel film that we've seen. It was just hold your stink face for a moment.
He's gonna have an aneurysm over there.
I know, right? I don't know. Like, on first viewing, I walked out and I was like, that was pretty good. Like, I enjoyed that. I probably would have given it like a B, maybe a B plus. Upon second viewing, though, I think I started to find some more holes in what they were doing. I think, honestly, my biggest gripe was that they called it Multiverse of Madness, and they were basically in one other universe. I recognize that the Tom, not Hiddleston, the other Tom,
Holland?
Holland. Spider-Man films are really like it's Sony and not Marvel, but in his multiverse characters were completely different people. Like it wasn't just him running around in all these other universes, right?
That makes sense, but go ahead, continue.
This one was obviously not that case. Like it was the same Stephen Strange running around in all of these different multiverses.
There's different speech patterns, or no, different languages, same speech patterns, very similar personalities.
Same physical embodiment.
Oh, you want to amputee you, Doctor Strange?
Just say it sucked.
No, I'm just saying, like, they could have gotten different actors to play these other Doctor Stranges.
The movie sucked.
Like, it just let me get there on my own.
That would have worked with Spider-Man. The fact that there's 3 different Spider-Man people, actors,
right?
But for the same character,
Spider-Man people.
Spider people.
Spider people.
Ever since they started doing Spider-Verse, I can't keep up. There's just so many Spider-Men.
So why is it ultimately different in that versus in Doctor Strange? Like,
you brought up a good point. That is right. I don't disagree on that.
And again, I understand that there are 2 different studios that are doing that, and so that may have played a factor into it. But I still feel like Marvel has its hand in both of those films, so it's kind of like, okay, well, that doesn't make a ton of sense. Wanda in this one, honestly, not even Wanda. Like, the Illuminati was the thing that probably bothered me the most about this movie. Like, you have Reed Richards, who they're like, hey, we just want to put John Krasinski in this because that's what Marvel nerds want.
The living meme.
Yeah. And they're like, oh, we got him. And he's like, insta-kill, right? Like
Unraveled.
Yeah. I got into, like, some arguments on Reddit over the whole, like, Stephen Strange shows up and is like, guys, Wanda's coming and she's the Scarlet Witch and she's gonna like destroy everybody and she's messing with the Darkhold, and they're like, you're the thing we have to worry about most in our universe, even though they are so familiar with multiverses, all these other universes, everything else that could possibly be going on, and they just take him like, they're like, no, you're dumb, we can take care of her.
They hinted that their Wanda was just as strong, and if they can handle her, then they can handle yours.
I mean, their Wanda was a freaking house mom. I don't see how she was just as strong.
She had a retirement phase. Maybe she's finished. Thanos is dead.
Anyways, house moms, you're awesome. That's not a shot at you. I don't know. The whole Patrick Stewart, I agree, Doctor Strange is a problem. Oh, everybody left. Now is our time. You can defeat her. Like, what? Really? You didn't even bother to try and convince the rest of your friends that this was the case? The battle, like, where the Illuminati's out fighting Wanda in the foyer, like, it didn't.
You know what messed me up?
I love seeing it.
Where I completely checked out was the at the Hogwarts school I'm like, yo.
Oh, yeah, where they were trying to
defend the
Like,
property.
Yeah, I'm like, one dude, like, wets his pants, and this is what we're doing.
Yeah, the whole net comes falling down.
I was like,
you know where else you saw that, right?
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yep.
Hold on, Saul! Just...
Yep. Fucking Nova Corps shield.
Yeah.
And like one ship blows up and everything.
And
else
they
like,
all
oh,
go. Yeah.
fuck.
No, that's a pretty terrible weak spot. That's like leaving.
I'm
this-
sorry, I didn't mean to like step.
No,
on your
I mean
toes
you're
on that
fine.
one,
Like I think I got most of my points out.
I think the movie sucked. I'm sorry, but I like all the
Question.
every act.
Do you
Yeah.
think it sucked because you had high hopes for it, or do you think it sucked because you're just tired of seeing lackluster Marvel movies?
I think it's 80% high hopes, 20% I'm tired of. Like,
So would you say you were hoping?
or not that I'm tired. I'm starting to see the cracks in Marvel's armor.
Would you say the movie would have been better if it just focused on multiple Stranges fighting?
I don't know, because I think that the story they were trying to do, they didn't convey the story pretty. They didn't convey the story at all.
I think
basically.
that's the underlying issue, is that at the end of the day, the story they were trying to tell was not told very well.
Well,
And I didn't
apparently,
mean to rhyme, but I do it
the
all the time.
WandaVision TV show was done separate from this movie, so there's a lot they had to change after the fact because they didn't know how that show was going to end.
Sure, don't care. It's just like
So Chris, what's your letter grade on it?
I think after all is said and done, I'd probably put it at like a C. I know, Andre,
Okay.
you want me to just completely rail against it. Like
I think it's a good
I've
what
watched
if
it
movie.
twice, right? Like I've seen it twice, so it had some level of rewatchability. Yes, the second time through, I did not enjoy it quite as much, or I guess I just started to find more issues with it.
I think because the shock value is gone.
I think there were more inconsistencies in the storyline that had been told up to that
like
point.
Rachel's a gap, right? Like the way they presented the character didn't make sense to me. I'm like, well, okay, her personality seems to be the same and consistent throughout universes, but when they go to screwed up world, she's like on the edge about how she feels about him doing magic, and then she does the CPR crap, and I'm like, nah, I'm good. There's a lot of things where it's just like, just try harder. So, but I think it seems acceptable because, like,
I'm glad
I
you
give it a-
approve of my opinion of the movie.
Can I add one more thing?
no, I give it a D because, like, not even based on the comics. It's just like they started off on the wrong foot. Like, I can't even think of the movie to where you change a scene for another scene, but it just started off wrong. Like, think about when America, Chavez like finally gets rescued by Strange by his the cape of whoever, and it just like kind of like it just started to tailspin after that even more, because everything just started to fall apart, kind of like how Reed Richards was like ripped apart. So I don't know. I didn't. D. It
Let me
seems
add
fun.
another little,
I think they
little-
could have cut the film in
little fact.
half, just like they did with Peggy Carter, and it would have been fine.
Ooh.
Ow. That's a hard thing
You're
to
not
follow.
wrong
That's
there.
a good one. So real quick, speaking of scenes that they altered and changed, like right before the movie came out. So you know the scene where the lady sorceress stabs. I think she stabs the Darkhold, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. When she gets melted, like burnt alive and all that, and you see Wong look at her, and he looks like petrified. Apparently, that was supposed to be his lover. And they had a scene where they were supposed to be like together, reminiscing how much they love each other, some BS. But they cut that scene out, which just made that moment a little more nondescript.
I don't think it would have mattered to me even if.
I there's so many like that whole
Well, there's
scene
a couple
was like,
YouTubers online that say that if that had stayed, it would have made his final speech at the end more connective, saying how
that scene, dude,
he's okay living in this.
Shorty
environment.
comes up and pulls 4 people up out of the ground. Everybody else is like dead, and she's like, "Tell me where the Darkhold is," and like he's like, "Okay, that was a copy." Man, what?
Yeah.
Yo, if you're supposed to be the Sorcerer Supreme, everything
roll
ends
over like
right
a
there.
bitch like that.
That's a good point. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's stuff like that that
done.
ultimately.
He's Sorcerer Supreme based on a technically.
Movie's
still-
done. Yo, dude, movie's done right there. Like that's how it should have ended. Yo, my bad. And then she's like, "Okay, you die."
What would
Snaps
you have
his
done
neck.
if they actually did a Mephisto tie-in?
They're-
And he was the secret big bad.
You can't sell a Marvel movie with like any type of incarnation or representation of the devil in China. So I'll give you your D. Let's talk about.
Love and Thunder.
I just want to say this because it'll make my life so much easier. I'll just wait till it comes on Disney Plus because I'm over Taika
Waititi.
Waititi. It's not him as a person. Like, so if you ever see this, Mr. Waititi, I don't know you like that. I find it very amusing that you don't know who the characters are. You get a blank checkbook and you just like do your own thing. Apparently, I can't remember who he didn't know was actually in the comics when he did the movie. I'm like, yo, that's like a do your homework type of deal, right? I think he has single-handedly made Thor a less interesting character by himself, in my opinion. I don't have the love for Thor Ragnarok because I thought it was garbage, and he just like added more garbage. He's like the James Gunn of Marvel, and I'll leave it at that.
Oh, is that all you're going to say?
Oh, that's all.
When I do
Just a little bit.
When I do see the movie, I'm like, yeah, I was right.
Why are you holding back so much, Andre?
It's not personal. I'm just
so-
not a fan.
Joe and I went to go see Love and Thunder in theaters together. It's our
That's
first
sweet.
mandate in a while.
The first one we went on, you didn't get a hangover.
I didn't get a hangover that time we went to lunch.
That you remember.
Yeah. Anyways, I liked Love and Thunder. I was a huge Ragnarok fan. I think I was telling Andre over text a couple weeks ago, like the only Thor movie I haven't enjoyed is the first one. I like Dark World. I enjoyed Dark World. I like
You didn't like that blonde eyebrows?
Christopher Eccleston as the bad guy. Like
I like Dark World.
I liked Ragnarok though. Like I loved the weaving of comedy with a heavier topic like the destruction of Asgard, the planet, the place. It's not a place, it's a people.
Asgard is not a place. Never was. This could be Asgard. Asgard is where our people stand.
Love and Thunder, though, there were times, especially at the beginning of the film, where I felt like the comedy was a little heavy-handed.
Yeah, I agree.
You know where that started?
Stop.
Ragnarok.
No.
But continue.
I liked Ragnarok. Ragnarok is still probably my favorite Marvel film to date.
You know what? I thought I knew you.
I also like James Gunn movies, so what does that tell you?
Yeah. It means I thought I knew you.
Yeah, well. Anyways, there was just something about Ragnarok, and I think Taika Waititi and Chris Hemsworth just work really well together when it comes to what they've been able to create. Again, I think there were parts at the beginning of Love and Thunder where I was kind of like, okay, like it's a lot of jokes, but it really found its balance as the movie went on. And I think gave itself time to deal with... You haven't even seen the movie, Andre. I don't know how you can be criticizing my opinion of how the movie progressed in its comedy.
Literally say what you said one more time.
Okay. It was heavy-handed with the comedy at the beginning of the film, but found its balance as it progressed. As the movie went on, it started to give more time to let some of the more serious moments breathe.
Like the goats?
No, that was towards the beginning of the film. There were less goats as the film went on.
And when they came back, it landed. It was fun.
Yes, exactly. It was like, okay, yeah, I get it, goats.
Because you forgot about the damn goats.
But then, yes, it's the classic Family Guy thing where it's like, it'll come back around. And then it does. I liked the way that they handled the end of the film. Like, I thought it was good. I thought the stuff with... So I think one of the biggest issues that I had with it was really Christian Bale, and not because he didn't do a wonderful job, but because I think him and Taika Waititi is kind of a weird pairing. Like, Christian Bale is so over the top, kind of serious about his acting craft.
Perfectionist.
Yeah, that I think it was a weird, like, it just felt weird, especially early on. But there were moments where I was like, holy crap, that dude's kind of terrifying in that role. Like I think he was supposed to be. Even in a film where there was a good amount of humor wrapped around it. Again, yes, there were scenes or parts where I would probably, like, if it were me, I would go back and say, all right, guys, let's tone this down a little bit.
Let's make a movie.
No, this was a movie. You haven't seen it. I love the fact that you haven't watched it and you are still just like, I hated it. It was terrible. That movie I haven't watched. It was just garbage from the moment I started not watching it to the moment I stopped not watching it.
I don't even have a response.
I know you don't. Anyway,
but it's
I loved and thundered Love and Thunder.
What's your rating?
A-. If Ragnarok is an A+, and like Iron Man is an A+, then yeah, I would say Love and Thunder is probably like a solid A-.
A solid A-.
It's like a 92.5, almost a 93.
You know, when I went to school, 92 was a B. So.
Yeah, because look, we're dealing on a 10-point scale here.
I dare you.
What?
Dare you.
All I was going to say is that when I moved from California to North Carolina, I learned that not grading on a 10-point scale was a thing. I'd never heard of that before, and all of a sudden they're like, no, 92 is where is a B+, and I'm like, who fucking decided that? Like, God forbid we just have a 10-point grading scale. Let's come up with an 8-point grading scale. Yeah, okay. Why don't we just, use the imperial measurement system instead of the metric system?
Yeah, I went to some schools that it was a 7-point scale, but that's beside the point. Joe, what about you?
I think it's pretty
You're not
obvious.
worthy of that hammer. So.
I think it's pretty obvious where I fall on that. And by the way, if I turn this on and sit down, it smolders for 10 minutes. It just smolders. I love it. I didn't like how heavy, like I said, how heavy-handed the comedy was until I had to really remind myself that Thor is being an unreliable narrator right now. And he's making everyone.
It wasn't Thor. It was Korg.
Okay, either way. Well, I mean, even then, Korg. Why would Korg feel like the Guardians of the Galaxy are dumb? That's clearly a Thor thing. Anyway, I didn't like that fact
because he's Thor's best friend.
I didn't like how the Guardians seemed very.
This is making me angry.
I didn't like how the Guardians were very pointless. But then again, I like.
I was so glad that they were pointless.
I like seeing that they were there. I like seeing how how life has been for them for a little bit, which is rough. And then I like seeing them go away immediately. And I'm looking forward to seeing their last movie because I'm like.
What was good about the movie, man? I don't care. You guys are making me angry.
So look! She's smoldering. She's getting pissed at you.
Yeah.
That's actually pretty dope. Yeah.
Right?
I might have to get one of those.
Yeah, to go see a movie.
Leather wrapped handle.
I am worthy.
It's freaking beautiful.
I actually lived in Norway, so the bastardization of a Norse god for the sake of a person from New Zealand's comedy is annoying to me. But continue.
You do realize that Chris Hemsworth is not from Norway either, right?
Doesn't matter. I know he's from Australia.
Okay, so let me finish up.
Also, way to hate on New Zealanders for absolutely no reason all of a sudden.
You're not
If we're going to talk about representation...
It's just like all of a sudden it's like, people from New Zealand suck, mate.
No, actually that's not true. I actually worked with a guy from New Zealand. He was spot on, a great guy. I don't think Taika
YTT. It's literally 3 letters, and 2 of them are the same letter.
Yeah, I don't think Taika Waititi's.
There you go.
TTs, I call them TTs. And it's not him. I think there is a balance of comedy with action that some people can't translate to a movie. I don't think he's the guy to do it because I think he goes heavy one way or the other. And then if he goes heavy with comedy, it takes away from the seriousness of the story, right? Subtle comedy with Thor probably makes sense, but it's not a whole laugh track type of character, in my opinion. So I think Thor Ragnarok for me was I don't get it. I haven't seen it, but I'm pretty confident it's going to come across the same way. I even tried to watch his indie joint with the vampires. I got bored after the second episode, so it wasn't
What We
me.
Do
But
in the
anyway.
Shadows?
Yeah.
Okay, so as
I tried to understand what he was trying to communicate, and that's just not cool. But go ahead, Joe.
First few heavy-handed minutes were hard to stomach. I was
Wait a minute. Screw both of you. You guys are both on some BS. He's like, the jokes came kind of hard in the beginning, but then they settled in. And you're like, well, the first 500 minutes were they were hard to stomach. But then I just kind of I eased into it.
Let the man speak.
So just like with Peacemaker, where some of the jokes were kind of like, why that's not really that funny. That's how that was for that movie initially, and then they got onto a hero's journey, and everything started lining up. Other than that, the only other problem I have is why the fuck is there a bow god? Why is there a bow god of dumplings on the fucking mantle in a miso soup spoon? I felt like we were looking at Lego, like a Lego movie all of a sudden.
The Lego movie.
I was like, as soon as I mean,
No, I don't disagree.
As soon as it popped up, I was like, "What the fuck is that?"
It was dumb.
But other than that, everything was great.
So what do you rate it?
So yeah, what's your grade, Joe?
A-.
A-.
You guys want my grade?
F.
Yeah, grade the movie you haven't seen based on trailers and the fact that you hate the director whose name you can't pronounce.
I will grade it. My grade is it'll actually be a C-. This is why.
That's better.
I love the fact that you are reviewing a movie you have not seen based on your prejudice against the director.
My gut says
New Zealanders apparently.
Almighty Thor, Jane Foster, is going to be excellent. Right? I think it's dope that Marvel could weave that into a movie.
I feel so bad we haven't talked about her, but she was fantastic.
You guys are assholes because you guys are sexist.
There was no reason to talk about her because she did great.
Having to defend our opinions on a director and his style of comedy from somebody who hasn't watched the film. You literally wouldn't even let us get into it. You're like, goats. There were goats in the movie, and I didn't like the goats. The goats weren't funny. I saw it in the trailer.
What about Andre? What about the Zeus flick?
I don't.
You don't want
I
to see
love
naked
Russell
Thor?
Crowe. I don't think that. Here's what I do believe about the movie, right? Without seeing it,
You flick too hard.
I think the fact
Wait, have
that
you
they
not
can
seen
actually.
this movie?
I literally have not seen it. But I will tell you the fact that they can actually write a story with Almighty Thor is amazing. I think the Jane Foster story is actually pretty good, right?
It was really well done.
I do also think that they can tie in Hercules. Like if I think forward, how do they like play that character in the MCU?
Well,
If they do it,
well, here's the thing.
and we'll
Hercules
talk
is
about
supposed to be very bombastic. He's very...
Well,
he
I mean,
drinks,
we don't know
parties.
yet. We don't know because, like, we don't know. But I think the fact they introduced Hercules into the MCU is going to be dope, right?
Except Joe didn't like
because-
the actor that they got for him.
No,
Oh, that's
I
fair.
think he looks horrible. He looks like
But
generic bodybuilder number two.
supposedly he didn't have time. Like he had short notice. And he didn't have the time to do the steroids that everybody else
They
in the
don't have
MCU does.
CGI.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we've seen how CGI makes, I don't know, Henry Cavill's mustache look like garbage. Or
Hey, that's DC's fault. That's
I'm
not
just saying.
Marvel. Don't put that bad juju on them.
I will say that I'm pretty confident that when I see Thor: Love and Thunder, it's going to be like a C minus, and I think it's not the character, it's the story, and it's Taika
YTT.
He needs to change his name.
No, God,
Racism.
So
It's killing me, son.
So,
anyways,
I'm
what else?
C-
What else do you have to say about the movie you haven't seen yet?
C minus.
C minus. Yes, we get it. Fucking C minus. Jesus.
Yeah,
Change
I'm
your name
gonna.
on this
I'll
podcast.
watch it because
It'll
I
be
love
the
to
Chris
see.
and C minus show.
My point. Here's my point. I love to see Marvel characters live action, and that's where Marvel's going to continue to win, right? Because people like me are going to be like, I can suffer through that because I want to see the live action version of fill in the
Yeah,
blank.
I want to see Thor get flicked.
But I'm sure they blurred it out. Like,
Oh, they did. They didn't show him naked. No, it was implied. Very
You know-
tastefully.
I mean, so for me, it's just like, I mean, think about it. Gore the God Butcher, to do that story, it's amazing, right? I don't know how they executed it, to be honest. So, to your point, I haven't seen the movie. So, those are like characters I'm like, oh, I'm interested in seeing that. So, my first impression without seeing the movie is a C minus because of two good storylines. Another negative is going to be the director Taika Waititi because I'm not a big fan. So it's like if James Gunn did a movie, I'm like, you haven't shown me anything that's going to be like impressive. And I've really tried with Taika Waititi. I heard he got married this weekend or like in the last couple of weeks. So congratulations.
You seen Search for the Wilder People?
No. Is it good?
Yeah, it's got Sam Neill and the kid from Deadpool 2.
That one?
Okay.
It's good. It's pretty enjoyable.
And that's where I have to try to kind of like relax a little bit and say, okay, so you may not like this one product. What else have they done? The only thing I know him for is the vampire joint, and I try to watch it. And I could barely sit through 2 episodes.
If the internet can ever put episode 1 of Our Flag Means Death out there, so it can be added to a certain PLEX
Place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then I might watch that because that's supposed to be fantastic. But
Well, I heard it's on HBO Max.
it is, yeah. Well,
But
it
when we get to-
was, but now it's going to be on Discovery Plus.
And we'll talk about that. If you haven't caught on yet, listen to the big rant. We're going to definitely get into that. So we're super glad you joined us. I have not watched Thor: Love and Thunder. My bad. It's the type of movie where it's just like, I'm not going to watch that joint in theaters because I'll get pissed off and then I will not enjoy the rest of the
Why
movie.
you guys watching this shit?
Yeah, I
You'll
will.
be doing like me, bitching about it.
Just being just Just being angry. I'm on some boondock shit
Get
right
off my
now
front
on that
porch.
movie.
I'm on your front porch, Grandma. I'm on the sidewalk. Too damn close. That's what you are. That's you the entire fucking time.
Yeah. Well, I don't have anything negative to say about Taika Waititi. I haven't seen anything that he's done that makes me say, "Oh, that's dope." It's kind of like Christopher Nolan, right? His Batman joints, phenomenal. You know a movie I haven't watched? Tenet. Because it doesn't look interesting to me, right? So he was able to do a good story with like Batman, but I don't feel confident that watching Tenet's going to make me say like, "Oh, I rock with you now."
I'm one of those weird guys that buy used Redbox movies, and I got it for free through Redbox, and it just sits here in this stack of Redbox movies. I keep telling myself I'm going to get around to watch, but I never do.
Yeah, it doesn't look interesting, right?
No, it doesn't.
Yeah,
I mean, once you see Inception, those kind of movies just feel like they're just more Inception.
Right. So anyway, we're glad you joined us on this pop culture break. We're glad I'm super happy that we get a chance to record and talk to everybody and talk to each other, as a matter of fact. It's my fault recently because I'm in the middle of a remodel and things are moving along, not at the pace I'd like it to, but at a pace. It's the Willy Wonka pace. So we'll get back on track. We'll start recording every week and give more content, more up-to-date stuff. But if you're curious on how we feel about Kenobi, Miss Marvel, Doctor Strange, and the train wreck of madness, Thor, Love and Blunder, there you go.
That was clever. Very clever.
As always, I'm Andre.
And I'm Chris.
And we'll talk to you next time.
Hey guys, it's Chris from the Chris and Andre Show here. Just wanted to say thanks for checking out our show. We hope you enjoyed it. If you would, subscribe, make sure to hit the notification bell so you get alerts when we post new videos, and leave a comment with your favorite part of the most recent episode that you watched. We'll see you on the next one.